All right, welcome everyone. This is the Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is July 13th, 2016. This is a Wednesday night webinar, and tonight's webinar title is Stop Losses, Too Loose, Too Tight, or Just Right. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading rooms, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading rooms, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? As usual, there's not, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. By the way, these webinars are for your questions too, okay? So feel free to ask them. You know, I've been going to some basically other vendors, kind of seeing, you know, what's going on out there and everything. And you wouldn't believe how much analyzing and all the different stuff that goes on these charts. You know, well, you use MACD with this particular setting, but if you're trading this, you use, you know, how about a chart that just works? That's what we do every day. A chart that works. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you a chart. Now, I was asked by several people to go ahead and show some Forex tonight, and really it's price action, so it really doesn't matter what I show on the chart. We're going to still be able to get these trades and call them out. Matter of fact, this particular trade that I'm going to show you here in just a few minutes is one that I actually got, and I even mentioned where you could get in it yourself even right about the time of the open of the market, if I remember right. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the chart. Now, one thing I want to go over real quick with you too, and I've said this in the room before, but if you're going to trade Forex with some brokers, 1.0 is a complete contract. So 0.1 would obviously be, you know, basically your smaller contract, right? And with NinjaTrader Forex, though, which is the FXCM, they use the 100,000 for a full contract. So if that looks like that's a lot of contracts, it's not. That's just one full contract. Okay, everybody understand that? And I'll show you here in a minute, too, how you can really use something like Forex to mitigate your risk and everything, because until a person learns to trade, they can actually go into a lot smaller type of an account. And that's not a bad idea sometimes, is it? Exactly not, right? Now, let me ask a quick question first. I didn't start this one with the normal regular chart, okay, that I normally do with the black chart, you know, and the swings and everything, because tonight I want to talk a little bit more about the stop losses. You know, we pretty much all know quite a bit of how to get in these trades. Okay, now what I do when I'm getting ready to trade is, first off, I see where they've been. Okay, and I see that they've broken this little area right through here, don't you? And if they've broken that area, don't you think they'll probably kiss it? And that's what I personally like to do, is I like to try to get into a trade based on that kiss. If I walked in the room like right now, it's 7:15 in the morning or whatever it might be, I'm not going to just go ahead and click a market order. Okay, now I will box it in though and do it something like this, because this is the way I even showed this, I think, if I remember right, in the room this morning. But I would want it to at least break this swing over here to the left if it was going to head down, and I'd be doing this. Okay, now of course I set my object trader up, and now I'm ready to take that trade. Now what my stop is at default is 12 ticks. Now at a full contract on GBP USD, that's going to be a $120 loss if it hits my stop. Okay, but when I get in this trade, I'm going to know where my stop's at based on how it does my little lightning swings. Okay, let's see if we can get in this trade here real quick. I'll speed this up just a little bit so we can see if we can get in it. It's going back to kiss just like we thought, isn't it? They do that all the time. Is your quantity correct, Mindy? Yes. What this is 4X, and 100,000 is actually one contract with 4X. I'm showing 4X right now, and we'll go into some equities here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to kind of show some of this. Okay, now, what I like to do first off is I like to get some of my targets out of the way. You know, that's real smart to do. And if you just want to take all your coin, obviously, you know, when you're going sideways like this, you can just kind of draw a line like right in through there and take all of your contracts off even, okay? Just have them sitting right around through there like that, okay? But now let me ask you a quick question, and I'm going to stop this for just a minute. Where should my stop be right at this moment? Okay, because there's actually a right stop, there's a looser stop, and there's a little bit too tight of a stop too. Why didn't that take my target? It will. It's actually just touching it. I paused it. It should take the target any second. Let's see. Well, it actually should have taken it, shouldn't it? But keep in mind that there's a possibility that with this replay that the price might not really be there with the chart on the exact time. Like if my computer is off just a little bit. In real time, it's different, but this is replay. So there's a possibility that's the reason there. Okay. So what you actually want to do is you want to get that stop where you want it to be. Now, this lightning right here, I don't see this being a lightning swing yet because it hasn't taken out this low. Let me get rid of my box so you can see it real easily. Stop should be where it is, but could just be above lightning. Well, actually, that's a pretty heavy stop for, you know, like a full contract and everything to begin with. So, you know, I could lower it some because to give you an example, let me show you a little trick that I like to use a lot of times too. You can usually see this in your head anyway, but you kind of figure if they retrace on this at all from here, they're more than likely not going much above 61%. So you can even do something like that, okay? Because usually even on these thrusts like this, they won't go much higher than 61, even on a retracement. And then you could use exit on close, okay? Now, if you wanted to use the lightning swing that's actually identified, obviously that's way up here right now, okay, because you had a high, a low, but basically a little lower high than it took out. So that's your lightning swing. But do you want to give it that much room on this trade? Now, if you've taken some profit already, that's not a bad idea, okay, because you could get a real runner on this thing and it could turn out to be quite nice. Okay, let's go ahead and turn the clock back on, so to speak. See if we can get something on this, or we'll get taken out, one or the other. Going back to check, they check twice, lots and lots of times. I'm not exactly sure why that's showing like 500 right there. There's maybe something to do with my replay. That's nowhere near $500 right now. Unless, did I have 1 million contracts or 100,000? Let me check and make sure. No, it's just 100,000. Okay. There is something wrong because it's not taking my target right there. Now, I haven't actually done this on 4X as much, so there's a possibility on replay that we're not getting this to work correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this out. Let's go to a futures contract instead. Bear with me just 1 second. I'll get a futures one up here. Russell should be good. We trade Russell. Okay, here's a little thought for you. What do you do in a case like this where your Russell is just way, way, way overextended like that? What do you normally like to do on that? Because it could easily have some more get up and go to it, obviously. Okay, but you want some kind of a little retrace at least, don't you? So let's go ahead and get Object Trader on here. And hopefully I haven't done something to Object Trader here. We'll find out. Replay mode. One contract. And let's see if we can get something here. I'd like to see at least a little bit of a pullback before I jump into something like this, at least to like right here. But it doesn't look like we're going to get it. Let's look to the left and see how far they've got to go. 1209.80. That's got us a little bit of room, so we could actually take a trade. But it's got to do a little retrace for me first. I'm not just going to chase this thing up here, and it looks like it's going to go anyway. If you want to chase it, we certainly could, but keep in mind, if you did this, okay, let's say you did that right then, where's your stop got to be? It's got to be under lightning. See that right there? Exit on close. Now, I don't chase trades like that as a rule, okay, because that's not smart. But we do have some wiggle room on it, pretending there's a box there, like at an open or something like that. So let's see if we can get something on it. Maybe we can. I want to show you how stops work anyway. You got a little lightning, thrust, retrace, should hit its head right here, like so, and head on up. Or it's going to take us out, and I've got exit on close turned on. Now notice I didn't take like 3 or 4 contracts on that because, well, for one thing, it's a thrust. So would I really want to do that? And the answer to that is definitely no. Okay. Now let me ask a quick question. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Brian, on your question, you can, if you see to the left of a chart, like you've got a good 10 ticks to get to it, by all means go for it, because you can get some really, really nice trades even on a thrust, but you got to kind of look to the left to see, and see, since that's actually broken this whole area here, it's really got nowhere to go but up in through here somewhere. Okay, so will that give me a little trade? It looks like it will. Now, if I had looked to the left to trade the right and it was like the high was in here or here, no, I wouldn't touch it. But, you know, sometimes you can chase a trade, but only if you've got some room to go. Okay, let's see if we can get something on this. Now, the only thing bad about a single contract, of course, is you don't really want to go all the way for the top. You just want to kind of go for like maybe a scalp. There's a 12-tick scalp. Let's see if we can get that. Where would our stop be now? Well, our stop would be, look, we got it. We got it. But where would our stop have been? Would have been right under here, wouldn't it, at the time? And then as it thrust up and retrace, thrust up and retrace, thrust up, then we get a pretty nice little trade, didn't we? It looks like that's double topping to me. You want to try it? I'm going to try it. Now, where would my stop be on this one? Wow, Object Trader is acting up tonight. Because that's short and there's nothing on my chart. Well, let me close it up. I got a version from my programmer just a little while ago. I might have to put the other one back in. We would have gotten a nice trade on that too. Let me go ahead and do something here just real quick. I'm going to refresh it, and then we'll kill that chart. Bear with me a second. We'll get rid of Object Trader entirely, and then we're going to put it back on. I don't think I've got time to put that other one back on. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. That was a good little trade, by the way. Came straight down. Would have given us a nice little 10 ticker at least. Okay. Let's see if we can get in another trade. This was at the open of the market. You remember this? That's 832. That's your 832 Band-Aid right there. This is that trade we called in the room this morning. Everybody remember it? You had a high, a low, same high, so it did double top like we thought. And we said, take the trade if it takes this out, didn't we? You want to see if we can get that? Well, let's region it in. We'll go ahead and do a couple or three, and let's see if we can get one at the top as it comes up there to kiss. And it should kiss actually a little higher, like right up here. So I could actually redo my box. Well, I'm already in, so I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, see where it's trying to go right there, right where it broke down? And it did, right there at the box. And we've got three. Where's our stop need to be on this trade, by the way? It needs to be right up here at that swing, unfortunately. Everybody see that? That's 21 ticks right there. Now, you don't have to take a chance with that trade like that. You can obviously just look at the previous like resistance levels and maybe even put it inside the ellipse a little bit, save yourself some just in case, and hope you get a bar rollover. Because where I wanted that trade was right here, not right here. I was trying to reset my box and didn't get it. Now I'm going to go ahead and add one if it comes back inside with a touch +2 because it hit my resistance exactly. Okay. Then we're going to move a target out of the way, and then we're going to simply go with moving these targets out of the way. Take you a little scalp, probably right down there at least. See where the swing is? Now, right now, if you were trading this, where would you think you need to put your stop? Because some of you shorted this in the room this morning because we had this little box right here. And we even talked about how it had a huge thrust up. So we expected a pullback. Okay. Now, where I see personally to put this stop just as soon as this gets below mid-band is right here. And I'll put an exit on close if it does. It's got to take this out so we can at least get a little lightning forming, because otherwise you can get wicked out of these trades. They could easily wick this and still take this down. Remember, they were just going sideways this morning, checking tops, going back in near mid-band, like they do lots of times at the open. Still okay on it. If it'll take out this little swing, we'll go ahead and put our stop just above this wick. Everybody see why that wick is a good spot to put that? But not until it actually gives us a little lightning swing so we can tell. Like right through here. I'm going to go ahead and get these out of the way. We'll look to the left to trade the right in just a minute. Try to get down to Phantom. Now, if you want to take some profit quicker, you could obviously take it right there at that swing, because that's where we would have a blue line drawn. That's actually where we got short, was when it took out that blue line this morning, because we basically, you got a nice little pop to the upside at the open, you know, where you got this little double top. And then it just chopped around sideways for about 15 minutes. Remember it? Why would you go short on an uptrend, Michael P? Because of the Band-Aid. We're not traders that actually just stick with a particular trend, because at the open, anything can happen. Okay? And that band that printed right there was right here. Okay? And you did get a little trade off this ellipse. We even mentioned that at the open, and your target was up here. But when this was breaking here, you weren't totally sure just yet, but you could still short it because it did take out Band-Aid to the downside. Okay? But more important than that, though, what I like to personally look for, see this little thrust, retrace thrust? That's resistance right there. And if you look to the over here, see how they tagged it and they tagged it again? That's resistance right there. That double topped. They've respected resistance, so it's got a lower high so far. And then we also called this trade right here too. You could actually, let's say that you weren't even in this trade yet and you wanted to take this trade like right here. We called this one also. So you're not in it just yet. And I'm going to ask you, when I get this trade, where would you put your stop? Well, let's see in real time. The one thing I like about 4-range bars or any kind of smaller bars that you can get some good swings is just that. It's the swings. Okay, remember this trade we called in the room this morning, 1206.20. Look to the left to trade the right. Where did this thing break up? Well, it broke up all the way down here, didn't it? So wouldn't you think that more than likely it would at least come down there? Or you could look to your left and see these swings here. You might even just go ahead and protect it somewhere around Phantom. Let's see, do you now always use a touch +2 instead of waiting for a close? Well, Brian, I like it. The one thing about close I want to warn you about is with tight stops, you can get into a bad situation. I'm going to go ahead and pause this for a second and show you what I'm talking about. Now this one, if you would have put close, you would have been filled right there on that candle. But what if you would have had this box like this instead, giving it a little wiggle room like that? Okay, let's look and see where your fill would have been. Your fill would have been here plus about a tick or so, so you would have been filled somewhere in here. Okay, now there's another time that you can get a non-fill, okay, because what happens is this candle closes inside the gray box and this candle starts outside the gray box. Now I think on this last version that I've got that shouldn't be any kind of a problem, because it just looks at that more like a line in the sand, so to speak, and when it's broken, it'll still fire the trade. And I think your versions do too, but at one time we had it where if it missed inside and then it closed outside, Object Trader never saw it. But you can trade it any way you want. You know, the main thing about the 2 ticks that I personally like is I like to get in a trade just a little bit earlier. You know, now this is an area right here that I personally like to actually add on this trade. Okay, you probably, as much as that broke down, you probably won't go obviously back to here, right? Okay, and you did get a little rollover candle. So if you weren't in very many contracts yet, you could add actually when that rolled over. We didn't get a chance to because I was talking on it. Okay, that turning out to be a pretty good little trade, isn't it? Okay, now let me show you an area that I do like to add, because I had a member talking to me today and said, you know, where do you like to actually add? Well, one thing you could get rid of, like one contract even, watch the bar, watch the bar. That's good enough. Buy one of them off, see, because it's right at the ellipse. And then get ready to add if it comes back up and kisses. Now, this is your swing right here. So if this is going to continue down, it can't get up this high. Okay, this is your swing right here, looking back where they broke down. So I would be looking for a trade in between these 2 lines, and I'm hoping that an ellipse or predictor will show up, and then I'll show you where you can actually get in and add to these trades if you want. And then we're going to talk more about the stops too. This is getting back into talking about trades. Watch and see if the predictor doesn't show up. Not yet. There it is right there. All right. So isn't that a pretty good area to look to get in again? You know, don't chase it like this, because we've got one left. I'm looking to get in right in here where they haven't checked yet. And we could do a region, sure. We'll turn this one off, that one on, and we'll try to get in right at the predictor to add. Okay, let's see if we can get something. These predictors are pretty good. I like them a lot, especially when they change directions You know, when you get into these at the opens and stuff, they can take them out a little bit, but you still got a nice 10-tick trade there. This one was another probably 10-tick if you happen to have grabbed it at the predictor. And in this one, you wouldn't have made that. Well, you might have gotten in it, and if you did, you would have been stopped out because it was still heading up at the time. Let's see if we can get that trade. I'm almost positive I took that trade, and we even drew the line in the room this morning. So you got a little double bottom so far. There's your predictor now. Bring this down just a little bit. There we go. Just added. That was quick. See why I did that? Because it came right to my predictor where predictor was telling me that this should hit its head. Remember we said it can't go up this high. It doesn't always go to mid-band either. But these things, when they draw on the chart in real time, they're telling you quite a bit of what's going on. And we need to take some of our targets out of the way. Draw lines on our chart right here. That'd be where I put one of my targets. And right here, I'd probably put another one. Like that. And then I'll let my runner run. Now, by the way, when you add a bunch of contracts like this, what you can do instead, I'll show you another way to do it. I'm just going to add them. We'll take off 3 of these. I'm going to show you how you can just do it like, let's say you just want to get like 7 ticks to give an example. I'm going to sell that on a bar rollover. Okay, see, I'm just going to go for 7 ticks with the 3 extra contracts. That's how you can add to that bottom line pretty easily. Okay, now we're talking about stops tonight though, so where would our stop be on this particular trade right now? Well, you'd have to put it probably just above here because they could come and wick this, okay, because they haven't taken out the lows with closed bars yet. See right across there? They haven't taken that out. Now they have. So you bring your stop down accordingly, like that. Okay, now if they take me out now, which they really shouldn't, because see, you've got a high, a low, a lower high, a little lower low, right? So I've got my stop right there. That's that stop that I'm talking about that's just right. Okay, and of course, as it continues down, we can absolutely change it based on lightning, can't we? We've got to see lightning form a little bit first. That's pretty good. It's a little ambiguous because it's not really done a good thrust and then a nice pullback. But that's still kind of where I would put it more than likely. So you can see the little thrust retrace in this area right here. And if they go ahead and take this out, then obviously we could even bring it lower, but we haven't gotten that just yet. It's kissing resistance. And as soon as it takes this little swing out like that, your exact stop would be, come on, close it. Good enough, right there. See, just a little bit above that swing is what I consider a just right stop because, you know, it could wick it. Now, I've got it set for on close to begin with, but see, your close could be a wick. I mean, it can't be a wick to take you out on an exit on close, but it could close on that line. So I give it just a couple of ticks, okay? If you look at a crosshair on that, what is that? 1202.20 to 1202.40. So that's a couple of ticks, okay? Now, we've only got one contract in here right now. Haven't closed below. If you want to tighten this, though, there's a line 2 right there and just got taken out, okay? Now, where's our next trade on this chart, though? Now that's been a pretty good thrust, so this is taking a chance getting in after a huge thrust like this. But what I would do on something like this would be to go for something like this and then sell it. See where it rolled over? Right at mid-band. We called that trade in the room too this morning. And you're not trying to just go for gusto, because this is thrust down an awful lot already, and they did not take out that low. They did the exact same thing on 6B today, remember? And I called that out live and said if they don't take out that low, be very, very careful. Now looking to the left to trade the right, let's see if we can get this little scalp first. Hadn't got it yet. I'm going to bring my stop down anyway, just in case. Thrust, retrace, thrust. So that would be your stop right there. Exit on close. And there we got us a little scalp right there. Okay? Now when you get in these yellow bars like this, you know, especially when you get around 9 o'clock or so, you don't have to go for all the way down to the bottom because it never made it to the bottom to begin with. Matter of fact, remember our high energy time right here? Remember this? And we're going to go long. Remember our high energy time? We actually called that trade too. We boxed it in, remember? And let's see, where are we going? Look to the left to trade the right. Where do you think that one's going? Well, let's look and let's see if we can figure it out. We've got lots of swings on here. It broke down at 12:06.20, right? Could it go as high as that? Well, it sure looks like it's trying, doesn't it? Let's look to the left to trade the right again. 12:06.40 is a 12-range swing. 12:07.10 is a 12-range swing. So we'll try to get there. And then your very top, we drew this in the room this morning, is right here. Now, again, where's the stop on this chart based on our swings? Lightning swing, isn't it right under here? Now, when I have lightning that's this close like this, you got to really be careful putting it that tight. Usually I'll lag it back a little bit further. Okay? Simply because when you've got this little bitty thrust retrace like this, they don't necessarily not at least wick this down here where they kind of popped up. Okay? The bigger your swings are, the better those stops are. See where these thrust down, retrace, you know, put your stop, thrust down, retrace, put your stop, thrust down, you got your stop there anyway, and you got taken out. You got you another trade right here, rolled over, got a nice little trade there. And then we did box this one in this morning too. And let's see where we want to keep our stop as this thing heads up. And I'm going to let y'all go ahead and tell me, y'all is an Oklahoma term, by the way, tell me where you would put your stop on this. Now, this triggered at break even. I'm going to pretend that didn't happen and move my stop. I want y'all to tell me where you would put your stop. I'm going to move my targets out of the way. We don't care. Where would our stop be? Anybody? I'll pause it if we need to, because you really need to be able to see it in real time. Okay, and if you can't see it, draw it with lightning. Okay, see you have a high, a low, a higher low, and a much higher high. This doesn't count right through here. Okay, so where's your stop on this chart? Wouldn't it be right underneath here? 1203-ish, 80-ish, right? Exactly, several of you are getting it. Why is that the stop? Let's go ahead and take a few minutes and decide, why is that my stop and why isn't it under these little wicked candles? Exactly. Jonathan got that. It's identified. An identified swing is part of a higher low and a higher high setup, which is a trend. If it's not identified, there's nothing written in stone that says they can't take your stop out. But if it's identified, they can't take your stop out without actually changing the micro trend. Okay? So let's take a moment and look at this chart. I'm going to get rid of the region. We don't really need it anymore. Okay? Does everybody see why in real time you can see these stops? Because I can tell you this will change your trading. It can make a world of difference, because there's nothing worse than getting stopped out of a trade and being on the wrong side of a trade and then trying to make it back up. And all of us have had it happen. I've been down on oil, a couple, even $300. I've showed it before in the room, because nobody can make every single trade exactly where they want, but you got to have those stops in. And when they're going sideways, when you walk in the room and, let's say, for instance, that you had seen something like this, okay? You had walked in and you saw, you know what? This is where it's at and this is where the bottom's at. Well, if you walked in the room right here, that's pretty much telling you until they break down below here, they're not heading down. And until they break above here, they're not heading up. And that's where this new script will help out a lot too, because it'll actually, it'll start these power meters going with the colors and everything like that. And then you get these nice moves. Okay, but everybody see, before I go any further, that that's where the stop would be. I think everybody's, I'm getting a lot of yeses, so I assume we can go forward. Okay. I had a question come in just a second. It said, why would you think that is a deep retracement? Mindy, on which one? You mean like right when it came to like Phantom, to give an example? Well, remember, keep in mind that at the open of the market, okay, we're not biased to the upside or downside. That's the one thing that you got to be in trading at those opens, because, well, to give you an example of this, it came down to 1200.7 and then it took off. Okay, and that was pretty much the low. I mean, they don't hit them exactly. If they hit them within 3 or 4 ticks, you can pretty much count on the fact that they're going to bounce. That's a double bottom. Okay, but it still gave you a nice little 10 ticker. And then it gave this nice little breakout too. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying, could this be a deep retracement? Because this could be a deep retracement, right? Now, what I would personally do in a situation like that is I would have 2 charts, because you took a long when it busted out. We even boxed it in the room, but it did hit Phantom and pull back. So could a person have actually gotten a quick scalp? Yes. Okay. But when they break these, what I call these medium swings, these Phantoms don't hold. Today's open, Adam, today looked like up and away, and look what happened. Well, see, that's one thing too, and I was even mentioning it in the room this morning when we opened. This is where we opened at approximately when we started looking at the market, right? When we were looking at the equities, and look what it had already done. I mean, it was like that when we opened. And what, does anybody remember what I said live at that time? I said, we got to get some kind of retracement before we get in this trade, right? Now, if you could have gotten in down here, like box it in or something, that'd be a different story. But look where it was. It was so close to this top up here. And if you look to the left to trade the right, you can see some other areas. Well, it took them out. So it was trying to get up here. Okay. But notice what it did. It actually missed it. And then we got our Band-Aid, remember? And you could have gotten faked in this. This did give a nice little 10 ticker. And I know we called that too. Some people got that. Came right to the predictor right there and bounced beautifully. And you would have thought, well, they'd keep going and take out that top, but they didn't. But where would your stop have been on that trade if you would have been in this from down here at this predictor, all right? And let's say that you got in right here, okay? And you've got your stop underneath here, for instance, once it takes out the swing area, right across here. And when they hit those tops, where would your lightning be on this trade to get out of the trade? And you'd still have a couple of ticks or so profit even on your runner, would be right under here. See your lightning? If you don't see it, I'll draw it. See the lightning right there? Right there is where you'd get out of that trade. That would have been where your stop would have been. Now, would you have reversed it? I kind of doubt it, although it was at a Band-Aid. So yes, you could have reversed it. Now, we didn't even get in this trade until we saw this all happening like this. And we actually said, you know what? If it breaks below here, I'm shorting this little baby. And what did it do? It shorted it. And got that nice monster move. But be prepared at the open. The first 30 minutes, you know, is more like you're trading momentum. You're trading whatever the market's doing price-wise. Okay? Because if you don't, you know, look at this trade here that we called this morning, 1206.20, and this thing ended up all the way down here. Remember, 1200.7, and that wasn't quite a double bottom. You know, it never took out the very low. But keep in mind when you see 4-range bars, just because this was a low right here doesn't necessarily mean that on a big chart that wasn't just a big wick. Okay, that's one of the things about 4-range bars you got to be careful of, because they can close where maybe like a 12 or a 16 tick or something like that, or even a big Renko bar just did a big wick. You know, and a lot of traders look at those bodies. Okay. All right, let's go back over here. What I want to try to drive home as much tonight, though, is too loose of stops will wipe your account out. You got to be careful with that. Okay, because for instance, let's say that you had shorted it here, and you're one of those traders that thinks, well, you know what, this is still a red background, so I'm going to go ahead and give it all the way to Phantom, you know, for my runner. Well, no, you got in here, you already got stopped out, right? Matter of fact, you reversed. Okay, and that was even at 9 o'clock, which we had the reason we draw these on the chart at even 9 a.m. is there's a lot of reversals at 9 a.m. Central Time, whatever time that is for you. That's why we draw these little boxes. But you still trade them just like you always do. You had a low, you had a high, you had a higher low. They took this out. They were pretty much telling you they were trying to go up. I always look to the left to trade the right, and I see another swing over here even. See it? Thrust, retrace, thrust. So when it broke this even was a good area to get in. I mean, you don't have to be, you know, on the money. Like, for instance, if this would have wicked you in and just decided to roll over, it could have done that, couldn't it? Okay. But like I say, what I want you to mainly see here tonight, too, is where to put those stops. Because to me, that stop needs to be right there. Just a couple of ticks underneath that swing. And even with exit on close. Now, you don't have to use exit on close. If you don't want to use exit on close, then drag it back just a little bit. You know, maybe 3 or 4 ticks underneath that. Keeping in mind that 3 or 4 ticks is $30 and $40 on one contract. Okay? You know, that's the thing about trading, you know, $10 per tick instruments. There's a little bit more risk with them, obviously, because, you know, 10 ticks up is $100 and 10 ticks down is minus $100. Brian says, good. Tonight's been very good for me, confirming that I know where to put those stops. And the whole thing is, if you don't need to draw lightning, then you don't have to. But that lightning indicator, to me, is absolutely worth its weight in gold. I don't know of anybody else out there that just thought of putting on a chart where you can make it disappear anytime you want to, and put it on anytime you want to. That's a very, very good script in my personal opinion. I love it. And once you get to where you don't need it, you don't even have to use it. Yeah, there'll probably be somebody copy it. You know, that's one thing about this business. There's no integrity in it. You know, somebody thinks of something and somebody else goes, well, I can copy that. Well, why didn't you think of it instead of copying it? But, you know, it is what it is, right? Okay, so we got our stop right here. I've got the clock stop. Let's go ahead and kick it up again. Hasn't taken out our high yet. So this, now see, as this is trying to take out this high over here, I hadn't done it yet with a close. There it did. Well, barely. I'll wait for one more bar. There we go. Now you can bring it all the way under there. Well, that's true too. Brian said just because some jerk copies it doesn't mean he knows how to use it. That is true. Okay, see where our stop's at? A couple of ticks underneath is even fine. And then as it does lightning up, a couple of ticks under it. See there? It just flat works. Now, something I have also found, if you're good at something, you know, well, we already got it anyway. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful trade. Now, to me, that's starting to break down a little bit. See there? Everybody see that? Bounce right off an ellipse to give you a quick little trade. I got it going way too fast to trade. Just a second. I'll slow it down. See if we can get another trade. Now, when I see this go straight up like this, where do you think this is going to more than likely hit its head for a trade? Well, I always look at the lightning swing, and they never even stopped once they took out of here, did they? Didn't even stop, did they? And even here, so I'm going to draw two lines. And if this comes down into this area, I'm going to go ahead and take a trade. Let's see if we can get something on it. All right, notice why I'm not using this ellipse right here, because there's nothing stopping it. There's no zigzag between this drop and here or here at least. Looking to the left to trade the right. Let's see where it could go. Looks to me to be on top of that swing right there, and as low as even 1204.30 even, wouldn't you think? That's also where it broke down. So let's see. Little shelf right through here. And I'll even try one if it comes down there and bounces. Let's see what we get. Everybody see why I drew those three lines like that? Because this straight up movement where lightning didn't even stop, anytime they retrace, they're going to more than likely come down at least to where they broke out. And to me, I see them, they broke out all the way down here. They just barely tested it. But I do see that they popped up, pulled back, and then shot up. So I'd probably take a trade right there too. See if we can get it. And look at your fib numbers too. Let's see what it is. Yeah, 38%'s right there, 50%'s right there. Isn't that funny? See, we got our lines drawn almost where the fibs are. You know the reason for that, don't you? Because it's all in their algorithms. So I would say 61% would be right there, 50% would be right there, and 38% is right there. Let's see if we can get a trade. And then we'll ask everybody in here where the stop should be. Okay? Let's see, is the LT1 indicator that you use for the stop? Jack, on your question, yes. But keep in mind that you got to look at even it, because it can go sideways too. And what I usually do is look at, you know, how close a swing is to another one. Okay, like if you had, say, a lightning form and then you had it kind of pop up and then form another lightning and it's only like 2 ticks down, I usually go to that particular swing instead. Okay, let's see if we can get this trade. If this breaks up, we're going to have to take out lightning to the upside. So we could actually box it in or do a sniper. Let's see. I'm going to leave this one off for a minute. This will be like a little break if it happens to take this out. And if we get a box, we'll bring it down, but it's got to close below here for the lightning to form, right? Lightning hadn't formed just yet. Lightning is right here. And that's not a very good trade to me, just from there to there. 1207.40 to 1208.40. It'd be 10 ticks, but you'd never get the full 10 ticks. Now lightning is right there, so you could actually put your sniper on. We said that was 38%, right? That's 50%, and that's 61.8. And I can tell you this, that on shorter runs, shorter thrusts, even though this is a pretty good sized thrust, it's still one single thrust, they'll usually give you a trade around the 50 to 61. The 38% is used more for the really large thrusts. When you see something that's just, gone like 100 ticks, to give an example, the 38% works out really well. But we're boxers anyway, aren't we? Or it's got to hit where I want it. So I want it at either 50% or 61. Let's see if we can get it. Now you could actually even put a trade here, resistance break. See there? 61.8%. Stop in this case, just in case, since this really popped it down there, I'd probably put underneath the swing like right here, exit on close. And once it makes the lightning, we'll even go, well, that's where we'd need to be, wouldn't it? Because we don't know how high this is going to go yet. Looks to me like it's hitting resistance, actually. Let's see. There's something else you can do too. See your lightning? Low, high, higher, low, higher, high. You could actually put in well, we got our target, so we're good. Here's resistance right up in here. This looks to me like it's going to roll over. Broke our little swing. Now that's breaking a lightning swing. Where would my stop be? This looks like this may be a mistake, and if it is, it is. But it held resistance. Takes this out right here. I'm going to go ahead and put my stop where? I shouldn't even move my cursor. Where's my stop need to go? Right now, as a matter of fact. See, it just closed right there. A couple of ticks back if you want, like that. Look to the left to trade the right, see where it's heading. Well, it broke up right here. So I'd put one contract right in through here. Actually, I'd put one contract, not both of them, like that. Okay. And where would we put our stop now? Well, I'd be bringing it in through here with lightning. It hit resistance and rolled over. I put it right there. Everybody see why? If it breaks this, we'll put it here, but not yet. Still got it here. That bounced right off of where they shot up like a bullet. Where's another trade on this chart? We called that in the room too. It just nailed where I wanted it. See that line? Sometimes you got to be quick because that just, I didn't even get a chance to hold on to my trade at all. Pretty good little trade, huh? Everybody seeing a little bit more? We're about 5 minutes out. You're seeing where to put your stops? Because lightning swings is definitely what it's all about. And if you learn to see lightning swings, you can literally even counter trend on another chart. Now, where did this hit just a second ago? Well, it went right up to mid-band, didn't it? We caught that trade in the room this morning. Does everybody remember it? We had lines drawn on that chart like this. Everybody remember? Something like, yeah, I think it was like this. And just watch and see what happens. Now, right now, you're not wanting to chase anything, right? But if it gets back up here, when it's choppy like this, see if we can do it in real time. It's going really fast. May not get it. I think it just missed it. Yep, I missed it. See where it hit the ellipse? I've got it going way too fast, like 20, 30 times. See where it hit the ellipse right there? Those are 10-tick trades, by the way. Pretty good little 10-tick trades. Now, let me ask a quick question. We're not in a trade right now. What are we looking for on this chart? Anybody know? We've taught this for a long time. If they don't take out this low right here, they're going sideways, right? They're trying to take out this low. You're getting a little higher lows like this right here. Where's your next trade on this chart? I'll bet you it's a phantom. Because phantom trades, let's see here, let's look at it. So could you take it? Yeah. You want to try it? Let's just do a little sniper doodle here. Touch plus 2 is fine, and I'll just go for 10 ticks. Now keep in mind, that's only if I break that little swing right there. Actually, I probably should put it at 1204.30, truthfully. I think I better, because that's the swing right there. And then bring that up. Looks like you're getting a little higher lows again. Or do you want to just take the next trade that's the predictor? Some people are saying, let's just watch and see where the predictor ends up. Okay. Well, we're past the predictor now, right? Didn't hit it. Let's see where a predictor shows up. We'll just get rid of all the lines on the chart. We don't need them. Get rid of sniper. Can't go any higher than this, diagnosing my chart. Okay. Pretty much in that range right now. So here's your predictor right here. Right now anyway. Now if you're going to chase this, what you've got to do is this is a red background. These are white ellipses and pink ellipses. You're also in the melange time of the morning. So you're trading more with the trend, but you're going to sell resistance and buy it at support until we get an actual trend change, which we may do and may not. I don't remember what this did after we closed the room down. So I'd be looking for a trade either under this line just a little bit because they thrust way down, and that was a huge move down. They haven't checked it yet. You could actually, I'm going to go for 5 ticks if I can get it. It's right above the swing. I'm going to tighten that stop just in case. Now this is not where I put my stop, but what I'm trying to do is scalp against the trend because I saw it break that little swing. And exit on close. Hopefully I don't get taken out. May be a good move, may not. And see, with 3 contracts, that'll cost me 7 ticks, so that's $210. But what if you said, well, you know what? Well, look at it with me. What if you were to say, you know what? I'll put it all the way under here. Well, then you're risking 13 ticks times 3 contracts, which is $390. Okay? I think we're okay on this one. I'm even going to put it right here if this makes a line. Underneath lightning right there is good enough. That's 9 ticks. All I want's 5, Russell. Come on. Now, the reason I went with that counter trend there, and I probably should have done it more at the bottom instead because you could see it was getting higher lows. Usually what I like to do in a case like this, if I'm going to take a chance with a trade, I'll look at the little region that it's trying to draw and buy it in the middle of it. And I could be wrong because it could crater through here and then I'm at a loss with, 3 contracts too. But I'm also seeing high, higher low, higher high, higher lows along in here. So looks like they want to check Phantom to me. We'll see. Let's see, with a short trade, the stop just goes above the previous high. Well, it's actually the previous high of the lightning swing. That's correct. I'll show you if we get a short here in a minute. Because we're still got a short background. I'm just trying to scalp it right here. Didn't close above, so my stop's got to be under here. But I can still lose money on this trade. But let's see, if I bring it here before that materializes as a lightning swing, will I get taken out? I'll still lose 4 ticks times 3 contracts. That's $120. So technically I'm trying to make 150 or lose 120. And I don't trust that swing until it's formed. So I will take a chance. And a lot of times, let me show you another little trick that you can use. If you had a thrust up and it took out those highs, I'll bet that's a 61% retracement. You want to see? They happen a lot. Let's beef this thing up so we can see it. Look at that, 61%. And we got our target anyway. So on these little bursts like that, always look for 50 and 61%. It's amazing how accurate those are. 50 is usually, and when they go just a tad deeper, they're 61. But if you notice that, that's how they make the trend. Because if they take out these highs and they pull back a little bit, well, they won't pull back all the way to here, right? So obviously, your pullback's going to give you a higher low. This could be a risky trade because that is breaking up pretty good, but I'm going to take a chance on it. See it right there at that top? And usually when I do this type of trade, I'll go ahead and put my stop quite a bit tighter, like just a few ticks above that top, taking a chance of 7. Oh, we've got just a 5-tick target too. I forgot about that. Let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and add some more if we can get it. I'm going to get this target out of the way, and let's watch our lightning swing and see where we can get in this trade. There's support right there. Your high, your low, same high, higher low, higher high, so that's definitely support. Touch +2, let's just add a couple if it happens to break that sniper line. We're not heading up yet until we take this out. Everybody sees that, right? Because that's your medium swing. Could also draw a trend line. You want to try a close? We can do a close instead just in case it doesn't close. Try a close. Now I'd probably, now that it's taken out this little swing here, I'd bring that stop just above there. Exit on close. Just in case. Now see, that's got to totally close now. That's the one thing about close bars that you got to watch, because obviously our field's going to be a little worse than the +2 is all. Well, we're running a little bit over. Sorry about that. Does everybody see where you can absolutely tell where to put your stop on these charts? We'll draw in the room where to get in and everything. It's real important that we all know where to put our stops. You can get some great trades by doing it. And I can promise you this too, if you miss a trade like we just did right here where we calculate it based on where the other high was, you're still in a short because you're not getting higher lows and higher highs on your medium trend anyway. See your medium trend? High, low, lower high than that, lower low than that. All this is noise. Now it doesn't mean we can't trade it. Get a nice little pop long, nice little pop short. Because until it takes that out right here, this is not heading up. Okay, now let's talk just for 1 minute and then I'll wrap. I want everybody to see. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. We don't care about it. Let's get rid of all the lines on the chart. Let's get rid of lightning. Don't need to do it that way. Yeah, we'll do it this way instead. Okay. Now let's say that you missed this trade entirely. What have we been talking about all night? There's support right there, right? See your high, your low, your higher high. You can draw it if you don't see it. See it right there? That's support right there. When this high is the same, that doesn't count. This is the low when this high is taken out. Okay? Now, if you weren't in this trade right now, what you don't want to do, I'm going to show you something here. You don't want to just hit sell when it takes this out, except at the open of the market. Because I can tell you most times what they're going to do is they're going to pop down, they're going to pull back, and they're going to give you an opportunity to get in the trade. See now, we're just right at break even because we took a little breakout trade after 9:40 in the morning. That's the wrong type of trade to trade. Instead, well, this is going for us, so we're okay. I'm going to close it if it even tries to go back because I want to show you where to get in this trade. I think everybody can see where to get in the trade, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Where did it break down? You want to see if it gets back up there, and then I'm wrapping. Let's just see if it gets up there. Not yet. Not yet. There it is. See it? Resistance. Now we only did 2 contracts. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 more, and we'll make sure we got all our targets. Everybody see that? That's what you're looking for. Draw lightning on your charts. Look at the identified swings. If this doesn't hold, then this is going to head back up, isn't it? But don't just go reversing it when you've got a short background unless you're just trying to scalp. Like let's say if I wanted to scalp this, all right, and I wanted to go for a reverse, if it takes that out, that's a risky trade because this is actually heading down, isn't it? Instead of reversing it, why don't you just put your stop where at? There it did. It took it out. Put it right there. Everybody sees that, right? Look to the left to trade the right. You got a target right down here. Got a target all the way down here at 1200.70 again. And I'll bet you they take that out with a vengeance. Okay? That's the way you trade this, and also the way you set your stops. You know, when somebody says to me, Gary, what's your stop? Well, when I first start out on the trade, I just use the default, but instantly I look at where those swings are, and then you move your stop accordingly. You notice in the room, Charles is always saying, you know, aggressive stop, conservative stop. Well, your initial stop's your most important, because obviously if you get on the wrong side of the trade, you don't want to get whacked. Okay? But lightning can be your absolute best friend on your chart. Okay? And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap, and we'll talk about the new power meter on Saturday and how to utilize it. Keep in mind, you still want to always diagnose your charts, and you can tell if you're heading up or down based on your pretty much your medium trend. Okay? All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great evening, and we'll do it in the morning for real. Good night, everyone. Thanks.